that you are worthy of all the good that you desire. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Selfish podcast with Kina. My name is Kina. I am so happy to be here. If you're watching me on YouTube, welcome to the Selfish podcast YouTube channel. I am so happy to be doing my second video here on YouTube. I enjoyed making the first video. I got some feedback from some people over on Instagram who watched the video, who appreciated it, and I'm so excited to make this new episode for this Selfish podcast. Today we're going to be focusing on self-love and how do we really truly attain self-love. What is self-love, and how do you really get to a point where you can say that you genuinely do love yourself? You genuinely can say that I love myself. I have evidence to say that I love myself. Before, for me personally, I used to think that self-love was me dressing up pretty and putting on clothes, and I never really understood the concept of self-love when I was younger. I remember people would say to me, or I would watch YouTube videos, personal development videos, and people would say, you need to love yourself. And I always used to think I do love myself, because I thought that I could not imagine anybody hating themselves. When I really thought about it back then, I had no idea what self-hate, or the opposite of self-love, truly looks like. And even with that, now that I am here, I am realizing that back then I had no idea what self-love truly was. I just thought that people automatically loved themselves. It was only when I was doing this personal development work and I was on this personal development journey that I started to really understand what self-love truly is. And now for me, I would say that self-love is having an appreciation for yourself that keeps growing as you show up for yourself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. When you truly love yourself, you have a high regard for yourself. And that usually looks like not sacrificing your well-being in any area to please others. So today I'm going to share with you 5 steps that I took to really help me get to a place where I can say that I truly love myself. Now, these steps are not easy, but this journey is not easy. And I really had to want this for myself, and I think that that's important. I genuinely wanted to love myself. I realized that I cannot expect people to treat me any other way than how I treat myself. We set the standard for how people treat us, and the same thing is with love. I am expecting people to love me and show me love in a certain way, but am I showing myself that love? And so I'm going to share these 5 steps with you guys, and I believe that this will genuinely help you to at least start on your journey to loving yourself. Step 1 is self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is very important when it comes to this journey of self-love. When you accept yourself, you are seeing everything about yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, your weirdness, your good habits, your bad habits, your flaws. Every single thing about yourself, you are viewing that, deciding to sit with all of these facts or not facts or perceived facts about yourself and just view them without judgment or comparison. Now, this is not an easy process, and this is not something that happens overnight. This requires you To let go of self-criticism and self-judgment and just understand and sit in the knowing that there's no such thing as a perfect human. This looks like becoming aware of when you're being harsh on yourself, choosing to give yourself grace. To accept myself, one of the things that I genuinely started to do was build my awareness muscle. I started to truly put intention behind being aware of when I am being harsh with myself and trying to change that. I started practicing self-forgiveness, forgiving myself for things that I did to myself knowingly or not intentionally, for things that I did to people intentionally or not intentionally, whether they forgive me or not. I had to get to a place where I started to forgive myself. I started to practice self-compassion. When I found myself being harsh on myself, I would try to talk to myself as though I was talking to a friend, as though I was talking to a child. If what would I say to my friend or my child in this situation? That's how my mind would go. That's the approach I would take. I started to focus on my abilities and the things that I was good at, and I started to just notice them and applaud myself and celebrate myself. And I learned that accepting my flaws and my so-called failures was not me making excuses for myself. Because when I started working on self-acceptance, that was one of the things that I thought, like, how am I supposed to accept my flaws and the things that I have failed at? And I realized I wasn't making excuses for myself or settling. Actually, when I started to accept these things that I did not necessarily like about myself, I practiced and learned how to approach them with compassion, like a baby learning to walk or feed itself or be without mommy. And I started to look at it more like I am improving on myself instead of looking at it as I am changing who I am. I really genuinely started affirming to myself that who I am now in this moment is worthy and deserving of the love and care that I was desiring from other people, but that I was also looking for from within myself. The second step that I did, step number 2, is self-discovery. Discover who you truly are. Not who social media or your parents or your friends or society or anybody or anything outside of yourself say you need to be, but who you truly are deep inside. Who you were when you were born, before you had socialization and adapted to the norms and the cultures of where you grew up or the people you were around. Now, I'm not saying to completely forget who you are and everything you've learned so far and the things that that same socialization has taught you. I am saying to look within yourself and start asking questions, serious questions, not from a place of judgment, but from a place of curiosity. Start to get curious. Start to ask yourself questions like you are meeting a stranger. Be curious about who you are inside. One way that I started to practice self-discovery was through journaling. I journaled about my thoughts, my experiences, and anything that I felt like I needed to talk about, I wrote about it in my journal. And as I wrote, I paid attention to how I felt in my body and what emotions would come up for me in that moment. In the moment that I'm writing whatever I'm writing, I would start to explore these emotions by asking myself questions from a place of curiosity. So if I was writing something and I just started to feel like tension in my chest and I would start to feel like I was having a bit of anxiety, I would notice that and I would be like, whoa, this thing is really causing physical trigger in my body, and I would recognize the emotion, and I would label or name the emotion, and I would ask myself, where is this coming from? Now, this goes into deeper parts of, like, trauma healing and stuff like that. And for some of this, you may need to get professional help. You may need to go see somebody who deals with trauma and emotions attached to trauma. But at that time, I was not in a position where I could pay somebody. Neither was I in a place where mental health was taken that seriously. So I just focused on what I was feeling, why it came up for me, and then I went to good old Google and I started to ask Google questions. So I did a lot of self-reflection, back and forth, journaling, being curious with the emotions that are coming up. And then when I don't understand something, going to Google and then asking more questions and then coming back to me. So it was a process of me just exploring and being curious. And then I started to focus more so on my perception of myself and what I really thought, because I'm journaling, so I'm really having the opportunity to see my thoughts and my emotions on paper in front of me. And so this really helped me to focus on what I thought about myself and help me to move away from other people's perception of me, because this journey of self-discovery was really for me to get to know me. I even started writing down my goals and my desires, and I will question them. And remember, I'm not questioning them from a place of judgment. I am coming from a place of curiosity. So as I questioned these things that I wrote down that I decided that I wanted, I started to see if these were things that I wanted because I genuinely wanted them. Like, I felt like they would bring me joy or they would help my life in some way, or if these were things that I wanted because society said, or something outside of me made me think that this is something that I should want. I also started to look at myself and look for things that I genuinely liked about myself. Big things, small things, internal things, external things, whatever it was. I got curious and I looked for things that I genuinely liked about me. One of the most important parts of self-discovery is self-awareness. Basically, just take note of everything that you are experiencing. Try to be aware of what you're experiencing and just sit with it and view it and ask it questions. Remember to ask questions from a place of curiosity and not from a place of judgment or wanting to change anything. Step number 3. Boundaries, the big B word. What are boundaries? When I first started on this journey to loving and knowing myself, I heard the word boundaries come up a couple of times, and I remember thinking, what exactly are boundaries? Because when you have been a people pleaser for majority of your life and the people in your life benefit from that people pleasing mentality, no one really talks about boundaries, what they are, how should you enforce them. Like, I had no idea what boundaries were and what it meant for me, what it would look like for me to have boundaries. So over the years, what I came to understand boundaries to be are tools that you use to maintain and to build healthy relationships with others and yourself, because these are limits and rules that you put in place to protect your well-being and help you from feeling depleted or building resentment in any type of relationship. And these also help to build trust, safety, and respect. It's basically you putting your well-being first so that you can fully show up mentally, physically, and emotionally in relationships. This looks like you not allowing some person to touch you without your permission, like protecting your physical space. This looks like you setting limits on how much of your resources you share with others and making sure that you're not given to the detriment of your own well-being. This looks like protecting your emotional well-being and how you allow people to speak to you, and taking responsibility for your own emotions, but making sure not to take responsibility for other people's emotions and their mistakes. This also looks like being intentional with your time and who and what you spend it on, making sure to always have time for yourself. Step number 4 in this self-love journey is self-care. Now, self-care is often mixed up with self-maintenance. And while both of them, the actions for them can look the same, they're not the same. Self-care is doing things to ensure the well-being of your physical and your mental self. When it comes to physical self-care, look at specifically what your body needs, because everybody's body is different and will require different forms of care. However, there are some actions that every single person needs to take to have and maintain a healthy body, like making sure you get enough water or making sure you get enough movement, like working out. Yes, working out in the gym, doing all of that, but also I think people forget that movement is movement. Simple things like dancing or walking, these are forms of movement that can also help in taking care of your physical body. Start where you are. Don't try to, and I think that this is important to say on this journey, always remember to have grace for where you are in the moment. Don't try to do too much, because then you will deplete yourself, you will be burned out, and then you will become not motivated to continue on this journey. So I would encourage you to remember to just start where you are and what you can do. Movement is movement. And so these are things that everybody needs to make sure they're doing to, take steps into taking care of their physical body. Now, when it comes to your mental health, please take care of your mental self. I know everyone recommends therapy or some form of professional help, and I would say that that is important. I do also recommend getting professional help, but I am also aware that there are people who, one, cannot afford the professional mental help, and two, live in a place where this isn't taken serious. Some of us are very lucky to live in places that mental health is really being pushed forward to the forefront, especially after COVID, and we are able to have access to mental health professionals that are able to assist us. But there are people who don't live in places like that and who don't have the funds, and the limited resources that they do have are, you have to pay for them, and some people don't have the funds to pay for that. And so my recommendations would be to start small. Start by writing down your thoughts consistently through journaling, like we talked about previously. And another way to really help with caring for your mental self is to practice gratitude. I think out of everything that I have said so far in this video, this is the most important part. This is the most important thing. This is the thing that really took me from the dark places I was in, where I didn't understand how to love myself and what that looks like. This is the thing that really shifted my mindset to allow me to move from places in my life that I did not want to be in, and to elevate myself and to just see the world differently. I started to practice gratitude. Now, this does not look like waiting for something grand to happen in your life to be able to say, oh my God, I am so grateful for this. That's not what practicing gratitude, that is a part of gratitude. You should be grateful for the big things that happen in your life, but you don't need to wait for those things to happen to practice gratitude. I remember when I started practicing gratitude, I would write down 3 things every single morning and every night when I can, that I was grateful for. Sometimes these 3 things were: I was grateful for Wi-Fi, I was grateful for water because I can take a shower, and I was grateful for bus fare because I was able to get from point A to point B that day. Sometimes these 3 things look like: I was grateful for the ability to move my arms, or the ability to move my body, the ability to think for myself. And one thing that I was extremely grateful for, that may seem small to people, was access to the internet, because I live in a day and age where I can type in a couple of words or ask a couple of questions on the internet and have answers for myself. And I was genuinely grateful for that. So these things may seem small, but these things gradually increased. I went from being grateful for water to being grateful for money. And what I learned about gratitude and having gratitude is, not only is it good for my mental health, but I learned that what you put out, you get back. Having gratitude and being intentionally grateful for even the small things that I had helped me to raise my vibrations, helped me to be positive more frequently, be in positive energy more regularly. And what that did was helped me to attract more things to be grateful for, helped me to attract more things to put me in positive energies. So I would say that one of the most important things that you can do on this journey is practice gratitude. And with that, I want to move on to the 5th and final step, which is be mindful of your self-talk. Now listen, the world is already going to tell you everything that is wrong with yourself. You don't need to be another person to tell you what is wrong with yourself. You don't need to add to that list. Be mindful as to how you speak to yourself. Be mindful as to what you say about yourself openly and in your mind. Start saying positive things about yourself. Use the previous steps to find positive things that you genuinely like about yourself. And if you only found 1, 2, or 3, repeat those 3 things over and over and over, because what your mind search for, it will find. If you see a yellow car and you start to like yellow cars, or when I was younger, we used to play this yellow car game, like if you see a yellow car, you tap the person. I had never or would never notice yellow cars until we started playing the game, and then I started to see so much yellow cars. It's the same thing. What you focus on, what you focus to speak about as it relates to yourself. Speak positively about yourself. When you are in group settings or you are with any other person, I know sometimes people cope with anxiety or insecurity by making bad jokes about themselves, making themselves the butt of the joke just to help form conversation. No longer do that. No, you don't need to speak badly about yourself. Remember that you are worthy of all the good that you desire. Remember that you are worthy of the love and the care that you desire. This self-love that you are going on this journey for. Speak good about yourself. Would you let somebody stand up and speak negatively about a friend that you really care about, or would you defend that person? The same way you would defend that person and start to speak positive and make sure everybody knows the positive about this person, you need to do that for yourself. And one of the best ways I can advise to start speaking well about yourself is affirmations. Look, into affirmations, and I know everybody talks about affirmations, and sometimes it can become uncomfortable to speak affirmations, especially if you're going like this: I am beautiful, I am worthy, I am successful. I mean, that works for some people, but for me personally, that did not work for me. I had to speak affirmations over myself in a way that I usually speak. I am the type of person that when I start to get into passionate speaking, I just flow. And so my affirmations looks like, Kina, you are amazing. I'm amazing. I am beautiful. I am worthy. I look good. My skin is dark and pretty and smooth. I have beautiful eyes. I am a good person. I am a generous person. I always give to people. I am always doing for people. I love helping. I am a helpful person. I am successful. Money comes to me easily and frequently through multiple sources on a continuous basis. This is how I would speak. I would randomly be in my car or be in my room. It kind of sounds like how, I don't know if you have ever heard like black people in a church praying, but it kind of sounds like that. That's how I affirm things to myself. So when I was saying the money affirmations, and I would go on YouTube and I would literally type in money affirmations, and I would rehearse those affirmations or write them down, and I would read that but speak it in my own way. I would start to talk like if I am talking about a friend or a family member that I love. I would say things like, I'm a multi-millionaire. Money comes to me easily and frequently through multiple sources on a continuous basis. Life is happening for me and not to me. I am connected to everything and attached to nothing. This year 2024 is my best year yet. I am so happy and grateful. And one thing I always remembered was to speak about how happy and grateful I was when I am speaking these manifestations over my life. I am so happy and grateful for the abundance of love that I have for myself. I am so happy and grateful that I am able to show myself care through boundaries, through self-care. I am so happy and grateful that I have the freedom to write in my journal, the time to write in my journal and really sit and discover myself. I am so happy and grateful that I am in a space where I truly accept every single part of myself. You got to say the affirmations in ways that you genuinely believe it. This isn't for anybody to believe it. You don't have to do this in front of anybody, but say in ways that make you feel them. And if you can't feel them, fake it till you make it. Because one thing I know is that repetition really helps to change the mind. So the more you say, the more your mind will begin to believe it. That is everything that I have for you guys today. I hope that I was able to really help you, with starting on this journey, because it is possible. You can love yourself. Who you truly are is worthy of love, is worthy of you showing up for yourself. I hope that I was able to help you, to guide you onto how to start on this journey. It was so nice being here. It was so nice talking and sharing with you guys. And I am so hopeful and excited to see you in my next episode. Take care.